welcome. Another episode of Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your host, Eric King. This is the last Wednesday of the month, and I am ready to get it going with one of my most favorite people. She has been with me and around me for a good number of years. She's also in mental health. I met her many moons ago when she was just starting out this extraordinary organization that is, put aside or put apart to help mend, as you'll see the name, but help mend relationships between moms and daughters. And, those that listen to me know that, one of the things that I've struggled with is my relationship with my mom, my relationship with my family, my relationship of origin with the people that actually produce me. So first and foremost, before we jump any further, I would like to go ahead and introduce my sister, Tierra Banks. What's going on?
Hello, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. You are the executive director of Mended Inc.
Yes.
Foundation, which is a mother-daughter, is it still that? Mother-daughter organization that focuses on the relationship between mothers and daughters and mending that relationship. Is that still it, or have we... because I'm going from memory. Yeah. Although I can read.
Oh no.
What's on here? I'm gonna go from memory.
No,
go ahead.
That is it. We've added a few legs
along
the way. So
yeah.
So I like to think of us as a mother-daughter coaching practice.
Yes.
We now serve clients all over the country, whereas in the beginning it was just Cleveland.
Good.
But definitely mothers and daughters, mother and adult daughters.
And adult. Don't forget about that part.
Yeah, because I know myself now. So.
Right.
So we know our strength.
Right. So you created this organization. You're also a mental health professional. You also work for an organization, governmental organization that focuses on relationships.
Absolutely.
What I love more than anything else, you allowed yourself to flower into this. Or do you want to say it, or I don't know? Okay, go for it.
Are you talking about my government?
Yeah, your government.
Oh, okay.
Your government job.
Yes,
Just like you say your government name, your government job.
I'm currently the chief of probation for the East Cleveland Municipal Court.
There you go. EC. Shout out to EC.
Absolutely.
So I do want to give credit because that's not a job or career path that you see with most women.
Yeah.
The idea that I'm going to be a probationary officer. The other part is you're also Black, in case you didn't know that.
I just found out.
And being Black as a part of a policing organization, police enforcement organization, law enforcement.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Says the son of a police officer. Yeah. But at any case, the law enforcement, being a woman, is not a Black woman, is not something that you see. How did you fall into that?
Oh, listen. So
you said, "Oh, listen." Sound like somebody.
Right. Sit down, baby.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was my mentor is actually Judge Dawson.
Okay.
And I was going through his yoga instructor training program. So I'm
you a yogi?
Yes, I'm a certified yoga instructor. But while I was going through that, his chief was in the process of retirement. And we had extensive conversation about how I felt about people and their relationships. And so when the vacancy
you gave him the
opened,
spiel is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm it everywhere I go.
Right, I know.
Yeah, so when the vacancy came up, he was like, "Have you ever thought about it?" So I'm like, "Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, it's not for me." But I don't know, I accepted position. I've been here for a little over a year now, and it's amazing. Because it's simply helping them mend this relationship with the institution, this government institution. So it's from either their moms or dads or this.
Right. You're perpetually
Same
mending.
work.
You are a sewer. Do you see it at that?
A sewer.
Yeah, you bring two pieces together to make one gorgeous garment.
Never ever have I referred to myself as a sewer.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you that.
Transformer, but I love sewer.
I'm gonna give you that. You can have that.
I love it.
You can have that now.
I love it.
That is yours.
I love it. Okay. I'm a sewer, y'all.
I'm gonna give you that.
I love it.
So you are a part of an organization that in a city that is not traditionally looked at, on a high level.
Absolutely.
How is it, telling people you work in EC or East Cleveland?
Well, there is, at first it was a little bit of apprehension before, because I knew I would need to be ready to defend. Like,
yes.
why am I there?
Throw them dukes up.
Absolutely. But now I see it as an honor and a privilege to be there. You know, I love to carry my light everywhere I go.
Okay.
And I just see it as another opportunity to do that.
Good.
I'm there, and for me, I'm like, I'm in a Black city. I'm serving my Black people.
Yep.
And I love that. And I'm serving Black people with other Black people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not going to see too many knots over in EC.
We have a lot of knots.
Do you really?
Surprisingly, especially
How does
on probation.
that work out? Well, in probation, I can see
on
that.
probation.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because, they ride through our city and they get stopped.
Right.
But we do try to tell them, like, these are not the parks you want to,
Yeah, you might not want to.
Yeah, next time take a left, not a right.
That tree, that house with the tree growing out of it?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because they underestimate us, so.
Well, obviously. Yeah, obviously. So with you, how many other Black women are there?
On our court team, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 5.
About 5.
Yeah. There's about 5, but I am the only, our probation department is small, so there's only a couple of us. So I'm the only woman and I'm the only Black.
Are you having fun?
I am having fun. Good. Absolutely.
Because you went to school for a lot of years, just like most of us do. Why you close your eyes like that? Did you have a moment?
I had a flashback.
Did you really have a flashback?
I had a flashback of papers.
I gotta write stuff. I gotta be stuff. So the fact that you're happy and doing what you want, because you did, work hard to get where you want.
Yeah.
When you originally started in your program at CSU, what was your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal was to become a marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
Yes.
And
that's still a possibility.
Everything is a possibility.
Yeah, it's still a part of my desire. Yeah. I haven't decided if it's something that I want to continue to pursue. But at that time, I didn't know I had other options. I didn't know that in the mother-daughter space that there was a mother-daughter coaching. Body of government. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was this tribe that I would find and that would open up this realm of possibility that I didn't know existed. Okay. So then that kind of put a halt on that because I was still able to do the work.
Yeah,
like I was able to do what I wanted to do without becoming a marriage and family therapist. But I love transformations so much, and I love coming alongside of people. Yeah. So it's still a real possibility.
Yeah, a lot of times we go into work, sometimes to heal ourselves. Oh. And then we transition to a different work. When you're looking at your beginning process, like you said, because the struggle that we'll talk about, later on is a family struggle, is a DNA struggle. And so going into, counseling and marriage and family therapy, a lot of times we're looking at it from that lens. Can you talk a little bit about how you found that same purpose in being an EC with the, with the probationary department?
Yeah. So, these people come to me because of course they're in front of our judge. Right. And what I love about our judge is he's trying to change the justice narrative. So instead of trying to criminalize our people, who have mental health struggles.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, we just try to take a different approach. Yeah. And so what I'm finding is, I watch these people in court and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're, especially initially, I'm like, they're angry, all this. But then, when they come down to my office, it's like, my mother never told me she loved me. Or.
Yeah. Because that's real, actually.
It's real.
Yeah, that's real.
It's real. So I can identify with that. You know, I feel like though I've never been on probation, I have been in their seat.
You ain't never stole nothing.
I ain't never said. I said I
right.
been on probation. I said I've never been on privilege.
All right, my fault. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go.
But I feel like I'm them. And that's what I always lead with. Like, I'm no better than you. I was where you were. I had to do my own inner work to heal my heart so that I wouldn't be out here, taking my frustrations out because I don't have the language to articulate how I really feel or express my need, or displaced anger on somebody that has nothing to do. Like, you're mad at your mother.
Right. You're not mad at me.
And you fighting the man at Popeyes.
Right.
Like, hold on.
Popeyes.
Yeah,
For that chicken sandwich.
Listen, or they didn't get their honey or something. It's like, hold on, you triggered me. You taking me back to when I used to ask for ketchup on my fries and I didn't get it.
Get my ketchup. Get my special sauce.
Yeah, so it's the same work to me, Like, I'm literally trying to usher them in. I have the honor and the privilege to usher them in. Like, I invite you to take this journey with me, and I promise you'll be better off.
And that process, so what's interesting, there's a therapeutic process for that. And then there's also, I'm sure there's a probationary process for that. How are you able to bring those two together?
So, I feel like I can bring it because it's me. Okay. Like, I just bring me to
you
the
just bring you to the table.
Yes.
Okay.
I just bring me to the table. Like, I tell them we have these, we have these issues of compliance that we have to make sure we meet because you are on probation.
Right.
However, what you're getting is a person. Like, so, I'm not going to be the one that's like, you didn't report. I'm going to ask the judge to send you to jail for X amount of time. I want to understand, like, why, why is it okay for you, to not meet your obligation? Why are you not afraid to go to jail? Like, why have you become
why you tripping?
Yeah. Why have you become so desensitized? Like, why do you think this life of chaos is normal? Like, why can't you dream? Like, let's talk about those things. So, I just feel like I bring me to the table. And I don't know if any other probation officer does that. I would imagine so. They just don't do it my way.
Yeah, they don't do it. Well, no, I mean, because, a lot of times, especially with governmental jobs, because it provides you with such security, and there are individuals there that no longer need to be there.
Yeah.
And so what I like to hear is that you're appreciating this concept of health, whole health, right?
Absolutely.
And integrating that into the, legal system because you don't see that.
You do not see it.
And what's funny is, if justice is blind, they may not be seeing nothing. And you allow yourself to be you and see them. And when you're working with clients, when they notice that you see them, what's that feeling like for them?
For them,
you can talk about for you too.
Yeah, it seems like the thing that I hear the most often after our initial appointment is, thank you for listening. Thank you for asking me my side. Nobody has asked. By the time they get to me, they've been arrested. They've gone through some individuals. And, because of how the legal system is set up, it's not always in a client's best interest to even speak. Because you can incriminate yourself.
Don't say a word.
So by the time they get to me, I could only imagine like having a case decided on your behalf without your side of the story ever even being fully expressed. So that's always my starting point. And what I'm seeing is that it disarms them.
Yeah.
And now, it sets the tone of our relationship. So I want them to know, like, yes, I'm your probation officer, but I do see you. Yeah. And I do want to hear you, but don't take that for granted.
Okay. And right.
Because then, if I listen to one story, don't come in here writing a book every time.
Right. Don't give me no book.
Absolutely.
Because when you're, do you carry a gun?
Yes.
Do you really?
Yes.
And a badge?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes.
With that said,
you have to.
When you look at you, you are obviously black don't crack, so you look young. So right, we don't age by the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you're short.
Yes.
And
so that's why I have to
carry. Right. Not that you're short. It's just you're petite. Let's go with that.
I'm vertically challenged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're petite. So in being petite, that air of authority, how do you avoid from overcompensating because of some of the things that someone may assume about you?
I have to be real with myself. Like, and it's almost, I mean, it's a daily thing. It's before I walk, like once I see, you read the energy of the person you dealing with, you're like, hold on, you know,
see you.
I didn't grow up in the suburbs, so like, hold on, you don't have anything to prove, Tierra.
Right.
Like, you just have to assert yourself.
Right.
You stay calm, you be her, you don't have to yell, you know.
You just do what you do. I
have to constantly remind myself not to try to overcompensate for my size.
All right. Well, we're gonna take our break.
Okay.
And on the other side, we'll talk more about your organization. And we'll get into how you allowed yourself. You see how I said that? How you allowed yourself to be your full you. All right. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back. Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. We got T Banks up in here. I told you I wasn't going to say your first name no more. I don't think I ever called you by your government name. Straight up. Anywho, so before, so let's reintroduce you. We got Tierra Banks. She is the executive director of Mended Inc Foundation. You also do mother-daughter coaching. You are also a chief probationary officer. So you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
You're a wife.
Yes.
And a mom.
Yes.
Okay. And you wear all this in stride.
Yes.
Yes. So we talked about your entry into, you know, the probationary field. But we didn't actually talk about your entry into this organization. So basically, this organization is you.
Yes.
And you began the organization because you saw a lacking in you. And I'm assuming you decided to provide a pathway for others. Before we talk about the pathway for others, talk about the pathway for you. So when did you realize that possibly the way that you were raised might not have been the best way you needed to raise others?
I realized that when my kids were really, really small and my husband broke his ankle. I think my son was like 6 months. My daughter was 2. And I was so overwhelmed because the doctor said he wasn't going to walk for 6 weeks. And I'm like, I don't have 6 weeks. So what can we do? He didn't walk for like over a year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What type of ankle is that?
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, it was terrible. But I needed my mother.
Yeah.
I needed my mom. I wanted to be like, hey, Mom, can you just come stay with us for a while? Like, can you come move in? Can you be the second parent? And I realized at that moment, like, oh, we really don't mess with each other like that. Like, I wasn't comfortable enough to call her. And I knew then that something had to change because I think that illuminated like the state of our relationship, but then it also scared me for like where Peyton and I would be. Like, how could you not be cool with mommy?
Yeah.
Like, I think I saw both parallels at the same time. Like, not yet knowing, like just feeling like something is up. Still blaming my mother at that point, though.
Yeah.
So,
because it's easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, caring for my husband while he was injured, taking care of my 2 kids. I was in the cosmetology industry at that time. I was so overwhelmed. I literally spiraled into depression like overnight.
Yeah.
And then that, you know, was the onset of my self-discovery phase. Like, you know how they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I feel like at that moment, I was like, okay, I need something. And no supplemental mother started to appear.
Yeah.
I started to get invitations, you know, to work on myself from, you know, therapy. That's when I went, you know, started with the whole counseling thing. And then that's when I was like, oh, I have more, you know, I didn't grow up with my biological father. So, you know, by default, I was a Black girl, like with daddy issues.
Yeah.
And so as I was doing the inner work, I realized like, oh, I have more mama trauma than anything, you know?
Yeah.
But so working on that, healing that, and then feeling like, oh, I'm lighter, being able to even look at her and not, you know, think so lowly of her or not blame her, being able to love her, being able to accept her. Those are the things that I immediately want to share with other women. Like, oh, you can. Like, even if she doesn't change, you know, even if she remains who she is, I can be freer. I can be lighter. And so that's what, kind of made me want to invite other women on this journey with me. Like, let me show you how.
I love it. I love that before my brain just keeps popping. But what's interesting, far too often we look at, generational struggle from a opposite generation identification, right? Absolutely. So like you said, it stereotypical, right? Daddy not around, then she's going to have daddy issues. Mommy's not around. You shouldn't necessarily have mommy issues. When you had your daughter and you recognize that you have mommy issues, first of all, I guess I'm going to ask you this question. Did you want a daughter?
I did not want kids.
Oh.
Like this whole wife and kid thing wasn't even in my plan. Like I wanted to be a celebrity stylist. Okay. Because I was a hairstylist. Okay. I just wanted to travel. That was my plan.
You just want to live it.
Yeah. I got you. So like being a wife and kids, I'm like, that doesn't even sound remotely interesting. Yeah. So having a daughter, once I was pregnant, and by the time, of course, you fall in love.
Well, you got to.
I fell in love first, and then you're like, oh, you got to have a baby. You want to have a baby. So, and finding out it was a daughter, I'm like, that changed everything for me. Like, my daughter was like, I wanted everything for her. I wanted her to be everything for me. Yeah.
So, that identification, that same gender identification, like I said, isn't as popularized or as out there as, mother-daughter. Father-daughter, mommy. I can't even get it right. Mommy, son. What I've found in my work is that's more off, I see more mommy-daughter issues than any other issues in my practice. When you began to see other people have similar struggles, what did that do for you, even prior to creating this organization?
Well, it just made me feel like I wasn't alone.
Right.
But then I became so heavy. That's how I knew it was my assignment, honestly, because as I, began to expose myself to other women, everywhere I went, it was like, how do you get along with your mom? Or, that became my table talk. Like,
that's your red table.
Yes.
I got you.
And then I was just like, this cannot be right.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be some Black moms, because especially, my world is so Black, especially at that point. I'm like, there has to be some Black mothers and daughters who get along. There has to be. Yeah. And I didn't find many at all.
That get along.
And then some people existed, but then the relationship was so superficial.
Yeah. What do you think about the normalization of that do not get along concept?
I hate
because
it.
After a while, we get comfortable with toxicity. Like we will literally wallow in toxicity and be comfortable with it. What was that like?
I hated it before I even knew it was wrong. Like, even in my own house, like when I would complain to my mother about like the dynamics of our relationship as a teenager, my mother would be like, girl, you supposed to hate me. If you don't hate me, I ain't doing a good job. And I'm like, okay, well, if you ain't running out of here at 18, that mean I made it too comfortable. Okay, well. But I'm like, that is crazy. Like, what do you mean?
That's a I'm gonna go ahead and say this. That's a universal narrative in many parts of the Black culture. That idea that we can only have one ace or alpha female, and you can only have one alpha male. And once again, when you do not grow up in certain situations, you normalize that.
Yeah.
So right now, so your youngest daughter is how, or your oldest is how old?
I'm sorry. I have one daughter, one son. My daughter is 14. She'll be 15.
Okay. So when she came into her double digit years, can you talk about what that felt like for you, and how did that trigger you as it relates to some of your previous struggles with your mom?
So when Peyton, oh my goodness, first of all, Peyton is so different from me. She's like me in so many ways, but so different. And I knew that very early on. So I've always kind of been a little paranoid. Like, I want to do this right.
Yeah.
But when she became, her independence started to show.
Right.
I think it may have made me a little bit more fearful. And then I also felt like, wow, I get to test my own. I need to see if I'm willing to drink this Kool-Aid I'm selling. Is this Mended stuff really work?
Wait. Let me see if I'm a hypocrite.
Absolutely.
Is what we talk about.
That's what I felt like. This was the opportunity to do. Like, okay, you're telling everybody else how to hear her and see her and understand her, and separate you from her and not be enmeshed and not fight, and she's not your rival. All of my words.
All this boo.
I felt like all of my words came rushing back.
You're just getting hated on by yourself.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So how long did it take before you allowed yourself to identify your triggers in motherhood and no longer just solely in daughterhood?
I still identify them. Like, it's an ongoing journey. They don't happen as regularly because I feel like I am self-aware.
Yeah.
And I give myself enough space to see them.
Yeah.
But I'm still, I mean,
I like how you did that.
Parenting, because her being 15 now, or about to turn 15, like this is a new phase each time. Yeah. Just the other day, she was sharing with me, and I was like, I went straight into mommy mode, like, okay, well, she was talking about her friends stuff, and I was like, okay, giving her feedback. She was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You just want me to listen.
Right.
Let me fall back.
Right.
And be your friend. Yeah.
Right. So you have your triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is even before you actually have a child. Mm-hmm. You have your triggers, and you go into this concept of dating with these triggers, the concept of loving the opposite, right? Mm-hmm. Loving the male. Mm-hmm. At any point, did any of this, any of your triggers or any struggles rear, with those things you struggle with? Did that come up in dating?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say dating, but I remember Dan and I married fairly quickly, and then we had a child.
Ain't no reason to take a long time.
Listen, it all went
It all goes boom, boom, boom.
Absolutely. But I remember when I would see, like, just based on like some of the things that I felt about my mom and how she handled situations that we went through. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing Dan kiss our daughter.
Right.
And I would be like, hold on.
Right.
I don't know if I want him kissing my baby. And I'm like, Tierra,
wait, that's his too. No, I understand that. Yeah. I get it. And I think that is a hard thing.
Yeah.
To actually, one, share a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two, identify where something abnormal is normal. Mm-hmm. So abnormal to you.
Absolutely. But
it's normal in life. It
should be normal.
So when that happened, what'd you do?
I remember sharing with him eventually.
Yeah.
But having many conversations with myself, like, what are you feeling? Like, what are you worried about? Are you jealous that this new woman, because my daughter will be a woman, are you jealous of this new woman in his life that you have to share him with? Yeah. Or are you afraid that he's trying to hurt your daughter? What is it that you're feeling?
What triggered it? Because it's real. Yeah. The jealousy.
Yes.
And it happens.
Yes.
So, yes, there are times when a parent is jealous of the child's relationship with the opposite parent.
Absolutely.
When you opened up about that, because I've had that too, right? When you open up about it, what was his reaction?
I can't even recall, honestly. It was so long ago. Like, I don't even remember how. He probably was shocked, like, you tripping? I can't.
Like, what we doing here?
Yeah.
What we doing? I got you.
Yeah, I don't remember, so I don't want to say, but I could only imagine. Because, it was unreasonable. Yeah. In hindsight, it was real to me, because this was stuff that was living in me that I had to handle. But it was unreasonable.
And eventually, when you get a significant other, no matter what, if you same gendered or different gender, you get a in-law.
Yes.
What was it? What was it like knowing what you were struggling with while understanding that, your husband came with a in-law too?
Yeah. Now that took me a long time to, like, we were married for a long time before I began this work.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. Like, I have a beautiful Like my husband was raised by his grandmother.
Okay.
And she is 90. She'll be 93.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
Yeah.
Like she just have always made being in a relationship with him very easy.
So normalized it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Good. So the concept of normalization.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you decided to do this work, when you decided to feel, how long did it take you to actually just literally say, make it permanent? You go to the Secretary of State, you get the name, and you say, this is really what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
What was that experience like when it finally became permanent? Like, I'm going to make something called Mended Inc. Foundation.
Yeah. That process was amazing. It was a few years in between me getting the idea to do it and then to actually making it an organization. But when I decided to make it, like I said, I feel like it's an assignment that you get invited to.
Yeah.
And I chose, like I accepted it.
Yeah.
Like I think it chose me. I didn't, So when I decided like, okay, I'm going to do this, my fear and my peace did not come until my first workshop. Like literally my first workshop was in May of 2017.
Okay.
And all up into the moment where I opened my mouth, I was afraid of what was going to come out because I still had all of this unresolved stuff about my mother. I'm like, y'all, please don't. If somebody asks me a question about, I don't know what's going to come out. I might embarrass myself. I might look like a fraud.
Right.
So literally, I was so surprised that the moment I opened my mouth to introduce Mended to the community, my words were so pleasant. And when I finished, sat down, I couldn't believe what had come out. And I felt like that was the reward, like from God to me, like, I got you. Like, I felt like it was just this peace I had, like, it's cool. Yeah. Like, you don't have to be perfect to do this. Like, and I think from that moment on, I started to refer to myself as I'm a fellow traveler on this road. I might be a couple steps ahead of y'all, but I'm literally, and I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't feel like I needed to be. And another thing about that, like when my mom, because of the state of our relationship at the time, when my mother found out that I was trying to establish Mended, that became something she used against me, in a way that she would be like, "Oh, you trying to tell people how to love mothers and you disrespectful yourself."
Oh, so, wow,
I
get it.
She weaponized my purpose and it silenced me. Yeah, because again, it made me feel even more of a hypocrite. Right. Yeah.
So our families, what's interesting is 2 points. One, our family of origin at times know us the least of the people that are in our life. So that's one. And our family knows our buttons because in most cases, the buttons were generated because of them. Right. So when that button is hit, what do you think was going on in her? Like, what do you think was going on with her when she decided to push that button on you?
I think it was fear. And knowing now what I know, like, I believe that it's kind of always been fear and grief. And I think that those two things kind of guide mothers, as they mother their own children. Like, it's the grief of what you weren't able to accomplish, weren't able to experience in your own relationships. And then the fear of what you'll have to face should your system be disrupted. Yeah. Like, if this is all I know and here you come, it could be the fear of being exposed. And I think for us, that was a fear of both me and my mom's. Like, now, people are going to have to know your story. Like, we're going to have to tell people what we went through. People cast judgment. Yeah. So I think that she became afraid. I was always the daughter that had something to say. Right. So I don't think by no means was my mom surprised that it was stuff. Me. Like, from a little girl, it was shut up. Like, I
got some stuff.
So I know she wasn't surprised that I was the one. Like, in our line of work, we call it the rebel woman, the disruptor. Like, I knew, my family knew that about me. It was their knowledge. It was their fear that when I came into that knowledge, that I was the disruptor. When you began to speak. Yep.
The idea of the black sheep is the one that the only reason why they're the black sheep is because they're the ones that can see reality. Yep. When you're seeing reality in your line of work, in your coaching, what is it like, attempting to allow other people to see the light as well, so to speak.
Sometimes it's beautiful, but sometimes you're met with so much resistance. Like the science becomes, how do you share it? Yeah. Because you have to be confident. Like, I have to be confident in what I see. And I trust what I'm hearing. And I trust what I'm seeing, regardless of how they're, they're receiving it or not. But when they do, to me, that's always when I'm like, they're ready. Okay. I know we're going to experience change because they're ready for it. Yeah. Yeah. But then I know right away if they're not ready. Like, okay, we might have to take a few more steps. Right. Or we might have to table this and come back to this later.
Yeah. Because the idea of empathy is the thing that actually we're talking about, right? So at some point when you look at the people that raised you, there's a part of you that have to look at the reality of it. In most cases, what we were taught and what, certain things that was passed down to us, not all of it, but some of it was mostly to protect us, within a hostile world. When you go back to your mom and talk about the protection, what was her idea about what she thought she was doing?
She, like most mothers, she thought she was protecting us. Like, she thought she did a great job. She had given us way more than she had. Yeah. She like, I went a step further. Right. I didn't have my own room and my own bed. So I worked 2 jobs to get you your own bed. Yeah. Where we're like, well, we just want you to be at home. Yeah. So as we having these discussions, like sometimes my mother be like, what are you trying to find out? Because I have questions.
What we doing? We doing?
Even to this day, she like, here she go.
Right. Because she went into that defensive mode.
Absolutely.
And
yeah. And now just having a better understanding, I can do it more empathetically, more gently. Good. Like I can see where this is too much for her.
Yeah. And so when you come to that point of overwhelming, okay, because let's be perfectly honest, you went through, in order for you to be here, right, and see this thing, you went through bare minimum 6 years of education. Okay. And we come back all educated and understanding, right? And we put this, to our family and we say, we are toxic. What is it like for you to see the toxicity within your family and know that you have to move away from it, and that hard work that you have to do as you're moving away from it?
It's empowering in the sense of me understanding that I can live beyond it should they choose not to change. Yeah. Like, that has been the game changer for me. Like, it doesn't define me. But it's disheartening when I know that there's a better way. Yeah. And most people in my family are going to be right where they're at.
And that's the struggle. In our profession, we talk about the bridge. You can cross the bridge solo. Yep. You don't cross the bridge with other people. Yeah. But if there are people that want to join you in crossing that bridge, that's different. When you decided to cross that bridge, was there ever a contemplation that mom would come with you? Well, not a contemplation. Was it ever a fear or a realization that mom wouldn't come that way with you?
If she wouldn't accept Mended or our relationship?
Just your change, just the way you decided to be as a person.
Yeah, so my original dream that I had about Mended, before I started, my mother was standing next to me. That's literally the promise that I hold on to. Right. Like, in my dream, she was right there, so I know she's coming. The pace at which she's coming is to be determined.
Own sweet time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I hold on to that knowing. And my mother, it was almost immediately that she gave me her permission. Yeah. And her support. So I've kind of had it. Yeah. Now, it hasn't been ideal or to the level that I would love. But that's been a lesson that, again, that's the lesson that I teach other people. And that's one that I have to continue to remind myself. I have to bury the ideal and embrace the actual.
Because there's a difference between permission and presence. So someone you don't necessarily need permission to create something that has to do with your pain. But it helps.
It helps.
Right. And so giving providing someone, permission doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have presence.
Yeah.
And how did you deal with that presence piece?
I want to say I knew that permission was all that my mother had capacity for at that time. Presence,
capability and capacity, two different things.
She does not have the capacity. So, I still have to deal with that. Like certain days, I'm still a daughter, and I still have a yearning for my mom, So some days I have to address that. Like, I may not have her presence how I want it, but I know that she gives me all that she has to give. And I've become okay with that being enough. Okay. Because I realize it's all I can give.
Because it's true though.
Yeah.
And far too often when we are coming out of our trauma, we truly believe that other people should come out of the trauma in the way that we want.
And they're not.
And it doesn't happen that way. So when it doesn't happen that way, we become bitter. So how long were you bitter?
I don't know that I was bitter for a long time. I recovered quick from that. I think because I was so numb to it.
And I threw out bitter just because that's that taste you get in your mouth.
Yeah.
When something and someone you care about doesn't mean that you had that exact taste, but that is, that's visceral.
Yeah. So I think before I started the work, I would say I was bitter for a long time. But I definitely went through a whole bout of time where I was more numb than bitter. It didn't matter to me. Right. It didn't matter Like I got to the point where I didn't expect anything. So even if she did show up, I still couldn't feel it because I just became so numb to her presence, and I had built this existence outside of her presence. So that was the wall that I had to penetrate.
Right.
Like I had to deal with the numbness because I did need to create space in my life to receive what she had to give.
Right. And what's crazy, and I'm gonna before we jump out to a quick break, numbness. So numbness happens when your emotions are so painful, your natural body's protection comes in and take away that pain so you can exist.
So I was bitter.
There you go.
You brought me back.
I'm sorry. All right, we're going to take a quick break. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9. Welcome back. We got T. Banks, the founder and executive director of Mended Inc. Foundation, mother-daughter coach, probation officer with EC, and a mental health professional. I keep throwing on stuff. I keep throwing stuff on. What? It get longer it got to.
I love it.
We got to throw the superlatives on.
No,
all right. So before jumping off, and if this ever makes to YouTube in a way, people can see like what we do in between. So, you said that I walked you back, and it wasn't a purposeful thing. It was, I guess, never mind.
This is you being you.
Me being. I'm sorry. But there's a realization that happens to everyone. So there's a realization that I had to have that there's a level of jealousy of the affection that my wife shows to my son. Until I dealt with, my mommy issues, because I've had mommy issues. There's a understanding that we have to come back to the feeling. So it's just like a tattoo. And follow me on this journey. If anyone, gets a tattoo, initially it hurts. After that hurt, what happens is our endorphins, our body, begins to protect us, right? Our body be like, oh crap, something is hurting. So they run to the area that's hurting, and that area goes numb while you're getting the tattoo, and you can literally fall asleep. And then it comes back. And then it depends on where you get it from. Then it comes back, and then you begin to feel the pain. And in most cases, people prefer the numb than the pain. So when you're working with Mended and you're working with people and you're doing mother-daughter coaching, is there a specific process you bring them back to identifying and being okay with the pain?
Is there a specific point that I bring them back?
Yeah, is it a process you have to where, because getting someone to transition from numb, which is cool, to actually feeling is something that, some people just don't want to experience. When they do experience that in the coaching realm, in the mother-daughter coaching, do you have a specific process? What do you tell them? What's your ins and outs?
So my overall theme is always we have to learn how to embrace the, bury the ideal and embrace the actual. So that's kind of the theme of everything that we do as we, take a look back and then create, So our 3 steps is to discover, to recover, and reconnect.
There you go.
Okay, so that's kind of what we'll do. Like we take a look back in our discovery phase, just to assess where we are, and that's everything. Like assessing a relationship, assessing the level of connection that we feel to her and to ourselves. But we really do lead with the relationship that we have with ourselves, and then as in our recovery phase, we're just kind of trying to recover what we feel like we've lost, like what we've lost along the way. And that is maybe getting back in touch with those feelings. It is looking at what you actually have and what you need to let go of. And then just having those discussions. And, in a reconnection phase, then we take them to basically like a negotiation table, and then I like to call it coordination, but you graduate. So at the negotiation table, this is where we've reconstructed this relationship based on our mutually beneficial terms. Can we agree, and then once we agree, then it's like, okay, we could graduate.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. And so where are you located?
I am virtual.
Good. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so we do, most of our coaching is done virtually. I do have a physical office in Bedford, located inside my mom's daycare center, office there that I can do coaching in person. But for the most part, 99% of our coaching is online since we do work with people.
Okay. What's the website?
MendedRelationships.com. And there's everything. And then on social media, we are at Mended Inc. CLE.
Got you. Yeah. And so that's IG. Is that everybody? Is that everything?
That's IG, that's Facebook, and like LinkedIn, we're Mended Inc. Foundation. Honestly, you Google Mended Inc., you'll find us. We'll be there.
Google it.
Google.
And you got an event coming up?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm so excited because, while I'm embracing all of me, I'm unlocking the artist in me. I'm letting her live again. But we're going to do our first photography exhibit on July 27th. But we basically will be just exploring the themes of complexity and fragility in a mother-daughter relationship just through photography, where people can actually see what we're talking about, exploring, how patriarchy has played a part in this conflict, the social constructs, culture, parentification, enmeshment, all those things. So we want to talk about those things, showing them through photos, and then we're going to have a community dialogue.
Where's this at?
It's going to be at the Yoga Lab in Cleveland Heights, 3624 Mayfield, in Severance. Yeah. But tickets can be purchased at our website, mendedrelationships.com.
And it's the Yoga Lab?
Yeah.
Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure I got it.
It's a yoga studio that we're just going to convert into a gallery. I don't know if it's a beautiful place. So
it'll be all right.
Yeah, we're going to convert it into a gallery.
And how much are tickets?
So tickets are $40, but until June 30th, we have a promo code, an early bird promo code that takes $15 off. Okay. So it's $25 right now, $40 after June 30th.
Gotcha. I got it. Okay. Give the website again.
Mended Relationships. And all are welcome. Like, I do want to clarify, like, we like to have men present, as you know, because women can't do life without men. And the men, we want to show men what the women in their lives have come through.
Got you. So one of the things we haven't spoke about was two things we haven't spoke about is both mom specifically, your mom specifically, and spirituality. Okay. So I'm not sure why I didn't, bring both of those in earlier, but I do want to, bring it up right now. When we're looking at the idea of spirituality and motherhood, was there any difficulty in, in connecting to your God or your higher power in understanding that everything is Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother this, in your struggles, in dealing with how you viewed your position as well as your God, spirituality?
So no, there was no disconnection for me because of the way, no. I did have a problem because I don't know that based on my faith, like we even see all through through the lens of mother.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the Christian faith, it's more so father.
Yes.
It's everything. It's pretty much masculine. However, there was a period where I had trouble accepting the fact that I was loved by a God I couldn't see. When I didn't feel loved by a mom I could see.
Got you.
So I had to reconcile that this was a different love. Yeah. Like, I was loved by my Heavenly Father, even when I wasn't, I didn't feel the love of my mother. Because I now know that I've been loved by my mother all along. But even when I didn't feel her love, I had to work on being able to feel his constantly. Yeah.
Because even if we look at the Black church, it's mostly women. And how, the lifeblood and everything are women, and, big mamas, little mamas, right? And dealing with church and moms can be kind of sticky. So to bring in mom just solely, right now, how was your relationship with your mom now? How would you categorize it?
My mother we have a beautiful relationship. I hope she would agree.
I hope she say yeah.
Right. But my mother is a woman, and I see her as that now. Like, I see her as the woman that brought me into this world, but I see her as a woman who has, been trying to build a life of her dreams and one that she can be proud of while trying to parent her children.
Right.
So being able to be empathetic toward her and compassionate and really lending her the same grace that I so easily extend to every other woman. Like, that was the game changer for us. So I have space for her in my life. I have space for her imperfections. And I get to know her. Like, I get to know her as the woman, not mommy,
And that's the complexities that every individual, every mom, every dad is both a male, right, and a woman as well, right? And getting to see their personhood, because they were at one point a daughter or a son, and, so on and so forth. So right now you're allowing yourself to see your whole mom.
Absolutely.
The whole person as your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we do got a couple more minutes. I do have an award to give, not to you.
Clarify that.
But I did want, give me your information again.
Okay. MendedRelationships.com. And Mended Inc. CLE on social media, on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. So beginning in July, we're going to actually be streaming from YouTube live. Okay. So that's one. And also we may have a name change a little bit. And the name change is going to reflect a bigger position of, attempting to put what we do here out into the world. But what I did want to do is I did want to provide a award to one of my clients, former clients. So I'm going to, what award is this? I'm going to call it the Unapologetically Free Award. Right. So my and I'm going to read it real quick. We got a couple minutes. My client emailed me not too long ago. I'm not going to say their name. And they said, hello, this is blank blank. The guy who came to see you for therapy. I know you never wanted credit for anything you did, but you truly helped me change my life. Since I left Ohio for Maryland, it has been so much growth in these last 9 months. I've been promoted twice and now am a general manager at a store. I've also continued to practice Taoism, and I even found a woman that almost has everything in common with me. She also has read The Power of Now, which is my favorite book. And so what I want to give him, so a little backstory about this client. So this client is an individual that was searching for spirituality, and he was practicing Taoism in a unhealthy way. And so, initially, because, this individual is a male, and how he was dealing with, he struggled with wanting to focus on Taoism. So I wanted to give him an Unapologetically Free Award, because this dude has allowed himself to be free in a world that doesn't necessarily allow you to be free.
I love it.
So that's my first award. I gave him right to him. Yes, so I gave him the Unapologetically Free Award. So I appreciate you, T.
Thank you.
I was about to call you by your real names, but T Banks, executive director and founder of Mended Inc. Give the socials again.
At Mended Inc. CLE on Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram,
Facebook.
and Facebook.
Yeah.
And then your event is what day?
It's July 27th.
Okay.
At 2:00.
At 2:00.
Yes.
And give the website?
MendedRelationships.com.
All right, MendedRelationships.com. All right, so next week, once again, in this chair, not in this chair, in T's chair, we will have the one, the only Steph Kells. She will be in for our Wellness Wednesdays. So I'll see you guys next time, and peace.